What's something you shouldn't give to a homeless person? We used to check in on this homeless man occasionally to make sure he was doing okay. One year we were chatting and he says, "Hey, I have to give you something." I was excited, thinking maybe he's super artsy and made us something cool to remember him by. He opens his trench coat and reveals a giant frozen uncooked slab of pork. Someone gave me this ducking slab of meat. What the duck does he think I'm going to do with this? I'm sick of carrying this around. Don't just drop off food in to-go containers near someone's tent. If you're bringing food, talk to them, give it to them. Stacking up perishable food they can't manage or really throw away is only bringing mice to their living situation. Really glad I read this comment because I've done exactly this more than once. Lesson learned. Thank you. Related story time. I used to work at a thrift store in processing. Basically, I sorted donations, cleaned them up if needed, priced them, and put them out onto the floor. One day I got in a donation, a bunch of those kits you see people put together for homeless people. They have things like a stick of deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, hand sanitizer, wet wipes, that sort of thing. I was going through them for things we weren't allowed to put onto the floor like medication. They had packets of Tylenol in them when I found a folded 50 bill in there. I unfolded it, and it was one of those Christian pamphlet things, you know, the ones that say money isn't the cure for everything, only Jesus will get you into heaven, or whatever. So basically, don't get someone who's desperate for money fake money that says they shouldn't worry about money. Would be funny if people started putting those fake bill Christian pamphlets into the collection plate. Whatever they don't want. I was gonna buy a homeless dude a nice backpack once, but he didn't want it because chances he will get robbed for it or stolen. Same. I bought one regular in my neighborhood a sleeping mat, sleeping bag, and a tarp. He sold them, but he explained that if he hadn't he would have likely been robbed. They are often targeted. A frozen turkey. Had a friend who used to send plated meals to the homeless people near her house. Occasionally. One day one of them came to her door with a frozen turkey. Someone had driven to the homeless area and handed this woman a frozen turkey. When the woman delivered it, she said, "I figured you have an oven. Maybe you can use it." What did they think I was going to do with it? I've got a shopping cart, not an oven. As a kid, who was poor, but fortunately not homeless, we used to get a bunch of donated turkeys every Thanksgiving. Freezer would be wall to wall turkeys and we would be eating turkey for dinner for what seemed like months. Thank God we at least had a freezer, or no doubt much of it would have been wasted. People always donate turkeys on Thanksgiving, but ignore the rest of the year, I guess. But eating turkey for a couple of months is a lot better than eating nothing. I'm thankful for anyone who donated something I ate as a kid, as I don't know where I would be now otherwise. Dead, I guess. Our grocery store used to donate turkeys every year for our Christmas drive, about 200 families, but they would run into the issue of people not being able to store or cook them, or just not practical to give a turkey to a family of 1-3 people. So now they give 25 store specific, handwritten gift cards for people to get whatever they need. Canned food with pull open tabs. Anything that is perishable. Homemade food unless you know them. Judgment. People can be homeless for a variety of reasons. Not every homeless person is a bad person, and no one deserves to be homeless. Whether how they got there or what they're doing while they're there is wrong to you. Good things. Baby wipes, water bottles reusable too, socks, hand warmers, hygiene products for periods. Best thing. Ask them. Each person is different, has access to different resources. The best way to know someone's needs is to ask them yourself. Eater, I say, not homemade food, because people have sometimes added things in the food to make it inedible. From the toothpaste pranks to glass. Things can still be added to sealed food, sure, but definitely less likely and more noticeable, in my opinion. Canned food without pull open tabs, because of how common that is. I'd feel that can opener might be a useful thing if you have one to give. Food that needs to be cooked. Also, food that requires a hard bite. Many are in need of dental care. I offered a man a Nature Valley granola bar once, cause that was all I had. but he turned me down because he couldn't eat it. I used to work for a non-profit and we gave out branded tire pressure gauges. I'm not sure why. I thought it was an odd choice. But we found out one day while outreaching that some of our clients were turning them into crack pipes. Needless to say, we stopped giving those out. Haha. How did that start? Tire pressure gauges are in the sweet spot of branded promotional items because they have a useful purpose. People commonly don't have one already, and they are easy to store away until needed. The key question when picking a branded promo item is it something that people will reasonably find value in, and do they not already have one? You don't want them to think it's the best gift ever. You just want them to remember it and not immediately throw it away. Mostly related, but I work at a homeless shelter and you would not believe some of the shit that comes through donations. Lingerie, beat up clothing and shoes, outdated appliances. If you want to donate, you can always call ahead and see if the shelter is looking for particular items. Seasonal clothing, hygiene items, not half-used shampoo bottles, and new socks and underwear are always good ideas. Edit. Thanks for the awards. For those asking, my shelter always has lots of donations including full bottles of shampoos, so I would rather give out a full bottle rather than half. That reminds me of my time when I worked at a homeless center for mentally ill homeless, and I was tasked with sorting out a box of DVDs that were donated. 75% of the box was porn. I'm pretty sure most people who donate stuff just have some junk that they don't want to throw away as it's perfectly usable, but they have no use or space for. I think the will this actually help whoever I'm donating to is secondary to not wasting an item, and in their eyes they are saints for letting another person have their garbage. Ask them what they want. We had a homeless man who walked around in a garbage bag. Explained people kept giving him clothes, and 3 times he had been attacked for them. If you're not sure what they need, ask. Instead of cash, I asked a man what he wanted from the gas station and he asked for laundry detergent. We always think about food and shelter, which are fundamental, but hygiene is such a larger category of luxury that we take for granted. Laundry detergent actually sells for a decent price outside of stores. Liquid and pod laundry detergents are some of the most stolen products and typically end up being sold through the black market. To be honest, this is gonna sound weird, but homemade food. It's better to give already packaged, ready-made food so that there isn't any doubt that the food has been tampered with, especially the ladies. My female cousin lives on the street on and off and has for years. I don't even want to talk about how many times someone tried to drug her with food that was either homemade or in a tequila container before she just stopped taking food from strangers. Though honestly I'm not sure it's better, because now she has regular stories of people getting incredibly aggressive and threatening when she refuses to take unsealed food. Apples. Try softer foods. Edit. Thank you for the upvotes. If there's anyone with a savvy for fundraising, I know an individual in Lahaina that could really use some attention. I call him Blind Mike. He absolutely is blind and says it's from cataracts that can be corrected with surgery. The guy toting along with him uses him as a hustle and takes most of the drive-by offerings. I've spent a good amount of time talking to him. That said, he is alcoholic and not willing to help himself, but geez, if there's a way to get his vision back, I'm more than happy to coach him from there. You know, I usually take an apple with me to work as an easy snack. On my commute, I usually pass several houseless folks. Typically, I offer them my apple, since I usually don't carry cash change on me. I was surprised how many of them have refused because they physically don't think they can bite into an apple without ducking up their teeth mouth. Really flabbergasted me at first, thinking a nice nutritious fruit would be a treat. Now I bring oranges and they are thrilled. Soft foods for the win. I've done outreach work, they get so much food and water, but females need feminine hygiene products and they all need socks. Laxatives. This homeless guy that used to live in a nearby bridge was given food that secretly had some sort of laxative in it. Needless to say, he became a lot more wary of free food afterwards. I don't think they ever found out who the pose that did it was. Christ, that's terrible. I remember that story of the guy who replaced the Oreo cream with toothpaste and gave them out to the homeless. At least in this case the piece of shit was caught. Link. Edit changed link to another site that doesn't suck as much. Milk-based foods. If a person spends some years without consuming dairy products, they lose their ability to digest lactose. Lactose intolerance increases with age. I googled to provide a reference, and there are many, so you can Google if you want to check this. People would be shocked to find out how common lactose intolerance is. Unless you're pure Northern European ancestry, there's a good chance of being lactose intolerant. I mean, East Asian people are like 93% lactose intolerant. When you think of their food, you don't usually think cream, cheese, or milk. There's a reason for it. Mexicans have a higher level of intolerance, as do African Americans. I think people just haven't lived any other way, and just assume it's how life is supposed to be. I quit dairy, and I felt so much better overall. More energy and feeling normal. Lost a lot of weight doing it too. I'm really surprised I haven't seen this answer, but anything of noticeably high value, brand name clothing or shoes, expensive backpacks, watches, etc. This can get them killed, or at the very least targeted and mugged. It also makes things harder for them to be taken seriously and receive effective aid if they are dressed in expensive clothing that, or it's assumed they stole it, which is a whole other problem. This should honestly be the top answer. Rich people want to make themselves feel good and donate guxy sweaters and shit that will get them ducked up and robbed. And nobody will ever help a dude in a guxy sweater with a few bucks to get some food. It's just all around a really screwed up gift donation. Years ago, I was nipping to my local supermarket and there was a homeless dude with a cute dog curled up next to him. Mindful that any money I gave him may be spent unwisely, I said I'd get his pupper some food. At which he responded, "Oh, for duck's sake, can you not?" Astonished, I was about to have a ducking meltdown on his ass, but he held up a finger and pulled a bag round from behind him. It was rammed with tons of dog food, clearly from other well-meaning shoppers. Closing the bag back up, he sighed heavily and exclaimed, "For the love of God, can you just buy me a ducking tin opener?" Edit. Wow. Thank you so much for your responses to this, which were entirely unexpected, and thank you too for the awards. Understandably, some of you have pulled me up on my assumption that the homeless guy may have spent the money unwisely, so I thought I'd better provide more information as to my thinking at the time. There was a real issue in those days with homelessness, drug taking and alcoholism, which I know is still a problem everywhere. I get it. I really do, but I had just lost a dear friend to a drug overdose, and I was as raw as duck over it. So, in short, I didn't want to be the reason behind someone else's oblivion. Hope that explains it. I will never forget, when I was about 18, I was walking in downtown Atlanta with my mom. She gave a few bucks to every single homeless person we passed by. I was like, "Mom, you know they're probably just gonna spend it on drugs or alcohol." She simply said, "That's none of my business." Just so matter-of-factly put me in my place and really made me think. This is also the same woman who left her $100 cash back in the self-checkout at Target by accident and didn't even go back for it. We were still in the parking lot when she realized, because it made her happy thinking how someone's day just got better when the next person used that checkout. My mom, man. She's just better than me. Period. I'm in New York City. There's the homeless one should avoid like the plague. And then there's the homeless who one can approach and give food. Or a few bucks. It bothers me to say, but as a New Yorker, you develop the savviness and instinct to size up the difference really ducking fast. I'm a train operator. The ones you give food to are the ones who are keeping to themselves and sitting the corner. The ones you don't give to are the ones actively asking. 90% of time I see them shooting up heroin near the 10-car marker, or like you said, the crazy ones. I started to have to keep cigarettes in order to get homeless people off of the train. Internet fame. Stop recording your good deeds to get attention. If you want to help someone out, just help them. Edit. A lot of people were confused by this, so I just want to clarify. There is a difference between using someone for personal gain versus using social media in a positive way to truly make an impact. I'm talking about people who exploit others to grow their channel and or get a ton of donations and then misuse the funds. It's specifically an asshole move when a person won't isn't given an option to consent, which you could argue are a lot of people, especially if they don't give consent and then aren't given resources since they don't wanna be in a video.